short notice. I just wanted to have a chat tonight about a couple of things, and I'm going to handball to Palf to go through things in a minute. But obviously last year through COVID with TNL, Netball Tas became very, very hands-on. And it was always the plan to sort of revert back to the previous method of operation. And I think Palf's probably continued to hold hands and do quite a little bit of work in the early parts of this year. But we've reached a point now where, particularly with national championships being in Tassie in 2 months, I really need Palf to not focus less on TNL, but have less of her time taken up by TNL so that she can do all the normal parts of her job. And that's going to mean that and Palf will go through things in a sec, but I've said to Palf, we really aren't in a position where I can afford her the time to sort of follow up people multiple times about different things. I really need Palf to basically execute what she needs to execute and make sure she's focused on everything else, which is going to mean that it's going to put more responsibility back on you folks, probably just like it was 2019 and prior to that, where you are really responsible for hosting your home games, which I know you are, but we'll just need you guys to be switched on to get things done without Palf sort of needing to follow up multiple times. Hi, Paige, how are you? Good chat. I think that went well. Paige, you can hear me. Can you just let me know you're on mute?
Oh, I think I just unmuted it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Paige,
Sorry.
No, not at all. Just for your benefit, I've just quickly updated everyone and said, look, and I'll hand to Palf in a sec, but the quick version is the purpose of this meeting is just to sort of say, look, I need Palf to be able to get a little bit less hands-on with TNL and the clubs to make sure that you're executing what you need to execute around your home games and anything that needs to be done. There's just a couple little tricks at the moment. We've got some suggestions as to how we can probably help with that. But tonight's about probably just talking through a few things, making sure you guys are comfortable. Palf will still be in touch weekly, but she's not going to be following up 2, 3, 4 times if need be to get you guys to do stuff. And as Palf will go through in a minute, what that will mean is the world won't fall over if you don't get things done, but your club will probably suffer in certain ways, not intentionally, but just if she's not following up 3 times, it could be a lack of promotion for your club or a lack of someone somewhere, or ultimately an impact on your sponsor not getting the coverage they need. So without treading on your toes with that stuff too much, Palf, I might hand over to you to drive if that's all right, and I'll just chime in as required.
Yeah, sure. I think that is the key, that some opportunities are getting missed, and some of the ways that we want the league to be presented and the league to run are maybe not going as smoothly as they possibly could. So it's timely to have a bit of a catch-up while we're on an Anzac weekend break and get our ducks in a row for the season moving forward. So there probably is some key areas that have required more follow-up than others, and that's just in the area of media representation. So having a rep for Talking Sport, having a rep to come along for the Thursday presses, those kind of things, and getting those names to me early so I can liaise with them and the media to maximise the opportunities and to capitalise on the coverage that we're able to push out. And particularly when there's a charity round, that's where we can maximise club sponsorship. And we saw with the SAM round that some clubs were really forward in providing photos and gathering that data as requested, and others less so. So there was probably an imbalance there in our promotion as Netball Tas in conjunction with Sexual Assault Awareness Month, just because clubs didn't necessarily pick up on all the information that was in the weekly correspondence. So that's probably just one example of where we sit in terms of missing out on some opportunities. I think even tonight there wasn't RSVPs from everyone. Like, I knew there were 3 people jumping on this meeting, but not everyone. So I am very glad to see you all here. So thank you for, like Aaron said, freeing up some time on your Thursday night. I'm not sure how aware people are, and not every club's had a live stream match yet. But obviously, in the week leading up to the live stream match, I send notes along to Rick and Izzy for their commentary. And some clubs have had some pretty major ins and outs that are fine, absolutely fine, don't need any clearance or anything, but they could be getting more promotion and special mentions, I suppose, and commentary can be framed around anything that's happening with your club. So I think we're probably not taking as much advantage of the live stream, and I feel a bit out of the loop with those changes, just in terms of what I'm offering to Rick and what he's pushing through. So obviously, if there is anything special happening in your club, send it through to me, and that can have a feature, and I can add a script and all of those kind of things. There can be slides added into your live stream matches, TV commercials. They can be still images that run through the breaks on loop. Any of those kind of things to maximise your sponsorship engagement and to keep the live stream viewing public up to date with what's going on in your club, then live stream's the perfect opportunity to do that. Sharon.
Sponsorship stuff. Do we need to do that again?
Sharon, could you say that again, please? We lost the first half of it a bit, sorry. If you're not talking, can I ask you to go on mute if that's all right, just so we don't get any noise interference, please? Thank you.
Just if we've already provided you with the sponsorship stuff, like for us at Crips and KX, do we need to do that again for the live streams?
No, so if your TVC that you supplied last year is still current and you're happy for that to be the one that rolls through on live stream, then no. But if there's anything that you want to update or any new commercials, any new sponsors, any new still slides, that's obviously where you need to supply something new. But if you're happy with the existing, then that's what Roundtable Studios and Talking Sport already have, and that's what they're going to run with until they hear otherwise. So
I'm a big fan of this one too, Palf, and I'd really encourage to, at the end of the day, if you guys don't get stuff to us for your club for live stream, it's really no skin off our nose. We'll use all the extra spots for additional promotion of our sponsors, but it's an asset that you have that we don't charge for, if you like. We're on that live stream. You can get, if it's just a logo, that's fine. It's just a logo. If they've got a TV commercial, we can run that, whatever it is. It is an opportunity for your sponsors to gain exposure. So I'd really encourage you all to do what you can to get us that content if you haven't already. And I know that some have, but we just want to be really clear that it's, I think it's an opportunity wasted if you don't follow up and you don't get it to us. So I'd really strongly encourage you to get onto that.
Aaron, just with the sponsorship, when you say still images, does it have to be a major sponsor, or could you put a still up of all your individual player sponsors?
In a break, we can put any kind of slide. So and that can sit on the screen for 10 to 30 seconds, I suppose. So there's a Knight Frank commercial that runs through that, as far as I can tell, is still relevant. So that can be run in the breaks. But if you wanted a still to accompany that, then I don't see why not.
I do, but it's highly unlikely, Palf, but I just flag there may be, we'll just need to check, Kel, if you send it through and who's on it. Like if you've got an individual player sponsor that it's a direct conflict, for example, a competitor to RACT Insurance, that could be a little bit tricky and we might just need to work through that. But in 99% of cases, I imagine it won't be an issue. Perhaps just send the content. Palf can have a look if there's no conflict of interest. Away we go.
No reason why not.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, no worries. So I guess they're probably the key things, the charity rounds, the replies to the weekly emails, to action items, I suppose it isn't relevant to whether tell us home or away. So I think the trap is, don't need to worry, we're the away team this week, but there may still be things that you need to action as the away team because it involves all clubs and it's about league presentation and that unity, like for example, the upcoming one, it won't be till July, but Speak Up, Stay Chatty round. So that'll involve everyone. Indigenous rounds in May, that'll involve everyone. And there'll be things to action, whether you're the home team or the away team. So I think that weekly communication is really critical to be read and actioned weekly. And that's probably why I try to push it out on a Tuesday, just to give you enough time and give you the heads up for the week after as well. So nothing should come as a surprise. The functional roster that I send to you guys that has the highlighted pink, blue and yellow, it shows who's the live stream match, it shows who's on Talking Sport, it shows who's on media duties. Well, that's been months in advance. So there shouldn't really be any surprises. And sometimes I'm having to chase the night before, is someone coming to media from this club? So that's probably where the time-consuming element comes in, and where the weekly actioning can really alleviate some of that chasing.
Well, if I can, without treading your toes, I guess I think it's probably important to flag without singling out anyone for any reason. Some clubs are doing a really good job at the moment. Others aren't as much. And I think what I want to flag with that is that we're really understanding of the fact that you guys are all volunteers. You're flat out. You probably work. So I understand that it's not always easy, but I guess as the delegate for the club and having taken on that role, you are our conduit. So one thing, can I lead in, Palf, to the suggestion, if that's all right, because it follows that. Palf and I have been talking about this a lot, and what we would like is that all of you as clubs expand, for want of a better word, our mailing list for that weekly update and the content, because we're just concerned that it may be that you've only got one person nominated as the delegate at the moment. If they're busy or things are happening in life, you might not get to it for 2 days. Our suggestion would be that the delegate and both team managers also receive the email, because there might be a lot of stuff that's very operational in the scheme of things that the team manager just needs to know about that upcoming game, if that makes sense. And if they're in that loop, they'll already know, or they can action it. Or in the case of where we may have someone who is a delegate who is the team manager, and I think we've got at least 2, if not more of those in the room, perhaps if you just loop us in with someone else that's part of your team construct as well, so that we've got probably 3 emails for each club. So Palf will still continue to deal with you as delegates around anything she deals with you with, just like I deal with the presidents about things. But in terms of the weekly updates and info, it's going then to 2 or 3 people, so that if the delegate for any reason can't access it, we've got a bit of a safety loop and a fallback that other people may read it and pick it up. Does everyone understand why we want that and see that as a reasonable proposition? Janelle, is that a question? The pen's gone up. Yep. Oh, mute. No, still on mute, but I assume that wasn't a question.
Fine.
All good. Yvonne, sorry.
Yep, fine.
All good.
Very good.
Everyone else is either nodding or not violently disagreeing. So excellent. Palf, sorry, I took that last little bit at the end there, but is there anything in addition to what we discussed there? Does that sum everything up in terms of what we want in terms of that change?
Yes, that's probably the key change, but I can just add a little bit into what I'm going to change from my end, I suppose, to assist with this looping extra people in to increase or improve the clarity potentially. So I can change the structure in that we've just got general business and then upcoming responsibilities. I can change that probably into club or league related information, then team related information, then upcoming responsibilities. Just so, and then I can tag in people that are specific to each areas. So you can see your name and see it highlighted, and then you know what you've got to action. And I can potentially do a summary in the text at the top that says these are the things that need to be actioned this week, and just dot point the summary just to really break it down that next level, so you can at a glance really pick out what's relevant to your club and what you can skim over or get back to later, just so the urgent things really are prioritised and just takes the pressure off in terms of how much you have to action in the time frame, I suppose. That's kind of the plan. I can add in some due dates as well, just beside the content. So at least then there's a time frame to work to, and communications that then happen between the people that are involved in the weekly communication, the 3 people from each club. Between you can suss out who's going to action which bit because of the due dates. So which bit by when, depending on your work schedules and your role in the club. I think that could help. It may not, but we can trial it for a couple of weeks and see how we go. And obviously very happy to take feedback and make changes that are going to suit everyone better.
I was going to say, Palf, is now, without putting everyone on the spot, is now a good opportunity to very quickly just ask anyone if you've got any recommendations about how you'd like to see the information presented differently, or is there something that you don't think you're getting, or what can we obviously we're asking you something tonight in terms of really making sure that we get this process right, but is there anything else for us? And if you think of something in 2 days' time, then email Palf, but anything right now that you'd like to see done differently around this information flow?
Good job.
Good, Palf. Thank you, Sharon. So,
7 seconds of silence, that'll do.
Yeah, no. And I appreciate I put everyone on the spot. So again, I say, we're asking things of you, but it's a two-way street to make sure that we're all working together to get this right. So if there's anything comes to mind over the next couple of days, now while it's early and before Palf gets really busy really quick with Nationals prep, in the next few days, a good opportunity if you want to throw anything on the table about how things can be done differently to make your jobs easier. Okay, excellent.
It is hard on the spot, but happy to take feedback in the coming weeks as we trial new things and get used to a new set of processes, I suppose.
So to wrap that first point before we cover off on a couple of quick things, Palf, after this and then let people go, can I ask everyone to commit to send Palf the 3 email addresses, include the one that you might already be doing, but 3 email addresses that your correspondence needs to go to, which should include the email address of your delegate, which is all of you, which I'm sure she's already got, but we'll just check it off to make sure in case it's updated, as well as the 2 team managers. And then we'll let you liaise with them about what takes place when that information goes out and whether you're happy for them to act in isolation or what, but it's just a safety net for us just so that there's more eyes on it and then you guys can talk within your club. So can we ask for that by the other side of the weekend, if that's all right, so that for Palf's email for Tuesday next week, it goes to that broader list, if that's okay?
Yep. What I usually do is I usually send it on to all the coaches and our other team manager and everyone, basically. So everyone who's the coaching panel all sort of know what's happening, and then they've all got the information. So do you still want the address for all those guys as well? Or just...
I'm happy to add in all of their names to the CC list if that's going to save you a forwarding on job, and then there's more eyes on it. It doesn't worry me if there's 3 people CC'd or 6.
Yeah.
It's
I just think if they all know, then no one can say they didn't know.
Yeah, it takes pressure off you having to push the forward trigger, and there's no delay. Then I'm more than happy for it to be more rather than less.
Cool.
I think, Palf, as long as you, Sharon, or anyone else that wants to do that, position that with them, that it is information sharing, and what we don't want is 6 different people coming back to Palf from each club. So you're still the conduit coming back up. We're just sharing it with them directly so that if that's your club's decision, they get it directly and that everyone gets the info as early as possible. Cool. All right, shall we move on, Palf?
Sorry, can I just say, so the 2 extra emails will be CC'd in, they won't be in the 2 column, because then you will get them answering your emails. Do you know what I mean? Is that what's happening?
I would think so, Palf. The delegates are still the primary receiver and everyone else is a copy.
Who's a copy? Yep.
Cool.
Great. Good questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Palf, I'm happy for you to keep moving unless anyone else wants to jump in. And like I say, if the questions come up in the next few days, that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's really everything around the communication front.
Yep.
So the next point that we wanted to get onto was live stream.
Live stream. Do you want to take it, or do you want me to? Because you know how passionate I am about this one.
You can have first crack, and I can jump in and help.
Yeah, look, really looking for your support within your clubs to promote the live stream. So we provided it last year for free on the basis of COVID. I think that was the right thing to do. It cost a significant amount of money, and we decided to recommit again this year. But I think we were pretty upfront in saying we were going to have to stick it behind a paywall because, it's a massive financial commitment that we can't meet, at least in full. We set ourselves a fairly moderate target for subscriptions, or so we thought, at 1,000. We knew it was a little bit ambitious but achievable because we were getting views on up to 7,000 devices a week last year. And we're really struggling. And to be honest, 1,000 subscriptions probably only covers about 40% of the overall cost of the live stream. That 40% is in tens of thousands of dollars, multiple tens of thousands of dollars. And if we don't get to that 1,000, the reality is that Netball Tas will have a pretty sizable hole in terms of income. I'm going to say that's okay. That's not okay, not from my point of view. But nonetheless, that's the risk we've taken in running it again this year and setting that target. But what I want to be really upfront about is that if we don't get somewhere in the vicinity of that 1,000 subscriptions, it will not happen next year. End of story. It can't financially. Or if the clubs all want it, it's going to be a huge fee for each of the clubs, and you're not going to want that. And fair enough. So just if you can make sure that within your clubs you really promote that, you share any of the Netball Tas posts and so forth. I know that crowds are back to a large degree and that will impact it. Totally get that. But I must admit we're probably quite surprised still at the lack of subscriptions thus far. We've got a very, very long way to go to reach that budget. So I guess we're just asking you all for that commitment. I assume that's something that you'd all like to see continue. So we're going to need your support to try and get people to subscribe in order for that to happen. Happy to take any feedback about that or questions about that. But that is all I wanted to say. But I want to be really upfront about the fact that it's not going to get the pin pulled on it this year. It will continue, but it will get the pin pulled immediately after the season if we don't get somewhere near that target.
So how many have we got? How many subscriptions have we got?
At 200, Palf?
Yeah, but they're not all season passes. That's a combination of the $6 weekend pass and the season pass.
Yep. And the 1,000 was financially the 1,000 was based on the season pass because we thought buying a season pass was about the same cost of just buying a single game pass each time for your team, but you also get finals in the season pass. We probably thought the numbers would creep up incrementally as each team was on the live stream for the first time. But I think next weekend, Palf, we're pretty close to...
It's Hawks and Cavs. Cavs haven't had a live stream game yet. Yep. So...
Piranha to go after that is the only...
Piranha to go after that, yeah.
But actually 5 teams have already featured on the live stream. So that's the bulk of the league and we're still only at 200. So... we don't want to ram it down people's throat. We don't want to force them to buy it. We're just a little bit surprised probably at the lack of take-up. We thought it'd be a bit higher. Maybe that's because our marketing reach hasn't been as successful as we'd like. I don't know. But if you can all at least commit to share that and extend that reach, and probably also help just the people in your club understand that it's pretty good service, and I think it's a really good thing to have, but it's not going to be a forever thing unless people are prepared to put their hand in their pocket a little bit and support it and pay for that service. And if we don't get there, we don't get there, and that's okay. But I'd like to think that everyone ideally would like it to continue. So any help you can provide, greatly appreciated. Any other queries on that before we move on? Nope. Okay. Powerful. Back to you for the last one, maybe around the dinner or...
Yeah, the last one. We're just starting to make some plans and some inquiries around the TNL end of season dinner. It's proving difficult with the hangover of the COVID restrictions, in that there are very few places that will open up capacity to fit everyone.
Yep.
If we were to have a function together, and even fewer places that will do buffet or cocktail style, and they're the things that are in the more affordable range for such a large group. So the options in terms of venues that will have the capacity are really limited. So I suppose there will need to be some kind of conversation at club level for each club, and then a consensus brought back to Netball Tas. I'll publish the options and everything next week, and you can have a couple of weeks to take it to committee meetings and whatever you need to do, and then bring back a consolidated answer. But we're looking at either having a whole league presentation night in Hobart, because that's the only place we can find a venue that'll fit our capacity and our expected number of guests. And that could be a cocktail or a sit down or a combination of the two.
Alf, if I can clarify with that, obviously there are venues around the state that could hold more capacity. The issue is with the hangover of restrictions, for want of a better word, they're not all offering what they might normally offer by way of capacity, and that's the issue.
Yeah, so the specific inquiries, I can't remember the place in the north, but Anna said there was one place that could fit us, but in 2 separate rooms. So it's that presents its own challenge. Who gets the back room? So I suppose we could then look at splitting it. So having southern clubs have a presentation in the south, north and northwest come together for a presentation in the north. Or the third option would be to do it remotely as we did last year, but probably with a bit more IT support than what we had last year. So
look, if we go with one of those split or remote options this year, we'll have to invest to get it done in a live stream type capacity. We'll probably get the round table guys in to help us with that. But it's not ideal being faced with those options, but you'd be surprised how many little hangover restrictions, despite the fact we feel back to normal, are still in place that are restricting our ability. It probably seems like it's a little bit late in the piece even to be organising this year, but the issue is when we would normally organise it, the restrictions were actually worse. So we've actually worked with different government departments to wait until things have opened up a bit, but I think we're just about at the best capacity and lack of restrictions we're going to get for the rest of the year now. And now it's an availability issue and how each venue is going to apply the different rules. So, I mean, we won't labour that point. It's far from ideal, but what we decided to do, because we think it's the best way to do, is to put it out to you guys for feedback. But it is only one set of feedback per club. We're not asking for every individual to comment. We'll ask you to go back to your whatever you choose to do, whether you just go to your boards or whether you go to your players or whatever you do, but then come back to us with it might even be a 3, 2, 1 and 1 option. What's your preferred, what's your second option, and what's your least preferred out of 3, because we're going to have to, I doubt we're going to get consensus.
I don't imagine we'll get consensus. So a 3-2-1 vote seems logical, but there will be time for you to take it back to your players and your boards to make those recommendations, just so you can process and digest and get the answer you really want from your club.
What's the ideal situation from Netball Tas? There isn't one.
Split view, I reckon.
Yeah, it's probably a split view. Me personally, it doesn't worry me. I can action whatever is going to make the people happiest.
I'd like to see an all-together function. I think it gives the awards the most recognition. And I think that despite some opinions, I think by and large the players in the different regions and different clubs actually like coming together. But the issue with that, we can look at it 2 ways. One, we could say it's supposed to be in Hobart this year, but on the other hand, we could say, well, yes, that's true, but we couldn't do a whole dinner together last year, so Lonnie is the next one in the cycle. But regardless of the way we look at it, if we do it all together, we're going to have it in Hobart. I personally think that it might be appropriate to try 2 dinner option, one the north, one the south, rather than have all teams individual. At least you get to come together in a region and be with other people, but the numbers are actually manageable that we can get venues. But look, we want to be guided by the clubs and really what the clubs want to do, because we'll make whatever we need to make work, but we've only got so many options to work with.
I would like to see one altogether just because I have only seen the virtual, but I quite like a party. So, you know, I mean, that's a selfish view.
There's no dancing, is there, though?
Oh, yeah, you're allowed dancing at...
We're allowed to again now.
Yeah, you're allowed dance floors.
Yeah. You have to sit down for dinner and can't mingle, but once that's over, you're allowed to get on the dance floor. So.
It's a free-for-all.
Go figure. Strange contradictions in the rules still. But anyway, at least we've got crowds.
We've got crowds.
Yeah. And we should have full capacity crowds by finals, because we'll have 100% crowds coming into May. So actually, Palf, because we'll wind up there because I've run over time, and I think Palf will get that survey out. But do you just quickly want to talk about the bench scenario, Palf?
Oh, yes, I can have a brief chat about that. So in Ulverston and in both venues in the south, we're changing the bench structure back to one long team bench. There's no longer a need to physically distance as athletes and team staff. So that configuration will change. The Silverdome haven't agreed yet. There's still a few things we're working through, and that's fine. They're much bigger. Yeah, we're working really closely together and happy either way. They have the luxury of space, so I suppose it's less urgent for them to put things back together. But yeah, regardless, we've got three venues that will have the old bench structure, in that it'll just be the single bench and one that's still going to have a bit of distance between the seats. But at St Helens and at Kingston next round 5, that'll take effect. So
for those of you in the north, so Kel and Paige, we are working really hard with the Silverdome. It's an interpretive issue and a lack of consistency issue on information coming from the appropriate government department, and that's been consistent throughout COVID. You can pick up a phone, ring different people in the same department and get a different interpretation, and that's a little bit where we're stuck at the moment. And because they're a government-owned facility, it's proven throughout the whole process, PALF hasn't it, that it's just been a lot more difficult to get what we need to get. But they are cooperating, and I'm hopeful that it could be early May. It could be the next time there's a game out the Silverdome, and we might already have them over the line.
Yeah, we've got a couple of weeks. We'll be there for the double header on the 8th and 9th.
Yep.
So, but I'll keep you up to date with what's happening in that space. Obviously, next week's weekly update in the new format is going to be pretty heavy. There'll be a lot of new content. So good luck, everyone, all the new people coming on board. They'll have a bit of reading. But that's okay. That's part and parcel, I suppose, of having a week off.
Right, look, has anyone got any final questions? No? Then I'll firstly apologise for being 4 minutes late. I'll secondly thank you for all of your 5 minutes late now. I'll thank you. We really appreciate all your efforts. Again, we know you're volunteers. What we've talked about tonight is all in an attempt to make things easier for you, to make sure your club's getting the exposure it needs and not missing things. So please take it all in with the goodwill, I guess, that it's intended. And if you've got any queries or suggestions for PALF, then fire them through over the next week or so. But if there's nothing else, I think PALF will wrap it up there and let everyone get back to their families and their dinner.
Yes, absolutely. Just a quick one for Kelly and Paige. The promo flyer for the St Helens weekend has changed slightly today. I'll send you an updated copy before we push anything out. But yeah, that's all. Get back to your Friday and Thursday night footy and get your tips in and sort out your dream team, all those important things.
All the important things, PALF.
Not
That's
talking
right.
football at the minute, sorry.
No, I don't imagine you would be.
I'm quite enjoying it, Kel, I've got to say. Doggies are back.
As a bulldog.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much for your time, ladies.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.